that's why I recommend it, because TechnoTutor is the future. It's the future of education. It's the future of community. It's the future of the world.
What's going on, Jude? How's it
Man,
going?
well, doing pretty well, Pedro. Doing pretty well. Just trying to stay out of trouble. You know.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, appreciate you taking the time to be here. We've got a fire conversation planned. I know you've been absolutely crushing it lately.
Mhm.
And so we'll dive into that a bit, but just to kind of highlight a couple of things, right? I know you've become, or you became the top salesman, Fortune 15 company, absolutely crushing it in sales, door to door, running offices, all that. And so we'll get to hear a bit about that, just because it's pretty awesome, you know. And you're
Mhm.
a really great example of like someone who's a bit more entrepreneurial type, or who has developed those traits and abilities and characteristics using TechnoTutor and is just now absolutely crushing it. So with that being said, do you want to just introduce yourself here quickly?
Yeah. So my name is Jude. I'm from Jersey. Live in the New York, New Jersey area of the U.S. Um, yeah, I do whatever it takes. I do absolutely whatever it takes to become the person that I need to be for the world. For the world and it's just for my community at the bare minimum. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so, kind of, I think we can just dive straight in, right? Um, how did you first discover TechnoTutor, and like what problems slash difficulties were you looking to solve?
Yeah, so really my story starts like 4 years ago from whenever we're recording this. 4 years ago, I was living abroad in Beijing, China. Right. I was working as a tutor, private tutor for like wealthy Chinese kids, and also I became an education consultant. So I was starting to support Chinese high schoolers apply to top 50, top 30 Ivy League schools in the West, right? And I've been living in China for about 2.5 years at that point, and I really thought I was going to live the rest of my life abroad in China. I studied Chinese, was loving China, doing a lot over there, started my music career a little bit, so things were going well. But then COVID turned my world upside down. So I had gotten really sick while I was abroad and had to come back to the US to just try and figure out what was happening. And it turned out that I had caught COVID before it was cool to have COVID, you know? So I was the guy. I was the guy that brought it all back. Okay.
uh,
So you can
uh, there
blame
goes
me.
that Jude, of course.
Yeah. So what ended up happening was while I was back in the US, COVID started getting really big and they shut down all the borders to all the countries. So I wasn't able to go back to China. And during that period, I fell into, a bit of a downward spiral, right? Depression, anxiety, nihilism, existentialism, all the isms, right? And during that period, I started to read a lot, right? I don't know if it found me or I found it, but when that saying that they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Mhm.
Yeah, I found the book Think and Grow Rich. And so that was my first book into like learning about mindset and business and being entrepreneurial, right? And that led me to a bunch of other books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, um, professors and teachers like Bob Proctor, people like that.
Mhm.
And I used those the teachings in those books to basically start my first business, which was a production company, which evolved into a label, music label over some time. And that was really fun. In the first year, we were able to get a bunch of cool projects out. Got to travel to the UK, even in the middle of the pandemic. Like Trump was shutting down the borders as I was hopping on a plane to
Wow.
London. So, oh, sheesh, you gotta make something happen. Come back quick. So it was fun. Like I got to network a lot, meet a bunch of new, cool new people and things like that. So like on the outside, things were going well, business was growing, but at the end of that first year, I crashed. Right, I fell back into that downward spiral, that depression, that anxiety, nihilism, existentialism. Right, being where I'm from in the U.S., right, the New York, New Jersey area, there's a huge culture around like grind culture, work ethic, hustler, like having that type of mentality. So that's really all I knew. I was like, all right, let me just double down on what I've been doing and try to use that to push past those emotions. So it really ended up suppressing those emotions even more and just trying to work harder in order to get through that. Okay. So the second year in that business was okay, right? At least I felt like it was going well. Things on my outside were changing. I was getting to do more shows, went to LA to record, to work as well, meet more people. So it was fun, right? It was fun in a sense. But at the end of that second year, again, I fell into that downward spiral.
Mm.
Those emotions, depression, anxiety, nihilism, existentialism. So can you see how it was a bit of a up and up and down, right? I know some
Yeah.
people possibly relate to that.
And just on that point, like, did that have an impact on you at all? That
Yeah,
constant
man,
up and down?
that had crazy impact because I was getting to the point of suicide, right? I was contemplating like just spending all the money I had left, maxing out all my credit cards, just gonna ball out for as long as I could and just kill myself. Like that was what was going through my mind because I didn't really see the point or the purpose of continuing to live if I've been working so hard. I wasn't actually seeing any fruits of
Mm.
my labor, right? Like the bank account was still the same, still in the same situation at home. But on the outside, things look great, things look good. And that's what happens to like that happened to me a lot. Like people always thought that I was, doing well in life because on the outside, like I would be able to maintain myself, hold myself, but on the inside, I was dying, dying, being crushed. It was hard to get out of bed a lot of times. I don't know if you ever had this type of feeling, but sometimes I couldn't sleep because my mind was just racing and
Mm-hmm.
racing and racing. I'd be begging for it to stop, like to fall asleep. And so that's when I got involved into self-reflected around that period. I connected with the community. And while I was in there, I was talking to a bunch of people, networking, connecting. And what, for me, I've been a part of a bunch of different self-development groups and like personal development groups, professional development. But what really stood out with self-reflected is that they really emphasize investigating your past, right? Looking at the decisions that you made in the past that have led you up into your current point, right? Whereas everything else I've read, looked at, been a part of, they're all focused on the future, right? Being positive, like making sure you have your goal in mind, which is great, but they're missing half of that picture, half of the pie. And so being part of self-affected, they help me understand, okay, like what were the root causes that create the symptoms that I'm looking at right now? And so talking to a bunch of people in the community, they they introduced me to TechnoTutor, right? Because I and they told me this, like I had the hustle, the ambition, the desire. They could see that in me, right? The work ethic. But what was missing was that educational point, right? In school, they never taught me how to be an entrepreneur, all right? How to build a business. Okay. And I was hearing all these stories of other people in the community who had, made a bunch of money, gone from like 7K to 30K a month in their businesses. So I was kind of skeptical at first, to be honest. But I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired, you know? So
For sure.
I had to try something. I had to do something in order to just really change my situation. And so I got TechnoTutor, and I was like, all right, let me just try and see if it works. If not, I'm just gonna kill myself anyway. So start using it, and then the first couple of weeks, I was using it to pretty much reprogram my self-image, right? What I thought about myself, my self-confidence, my self-esteem, right? My self-discipline, right? Just everything I possibly could about how I felt about myself, how much I liked myself. And in the first couple of weeks, I felt a visceral release, like a physical release of those emotions, that nihilism, that existentialism, depression, right? Like I like just floated away off my body. I felt lighter. So I could actually get out of bed and become a functioning member of society again. Right. So everyone was like, welcome back, Jude. Congratulations. You're up on your weekend. And at that point, I had got accepted into an entrepreneurship program with Verizon. Right. They do these programs all across the country. And the one I was doing was in New York. So going to the program, again, I had just been a musician. My business was spiraling up and down, up and down. And so I've been using TechnoTutor while I was in that program to basically take everything that they were teaching us, but learn it a lot faster outside of class and outside of work, right? They were teaching us about how to build a business, how to recruit, how to do marketing, sales, leadership, run meetings. And again, I only knew how to make music. So I was using my TechnoTutor outside class to really, really learn at a rapid pace. And after about a month, I became the top person in that program, right? And again, I had started making the most money I ever made in my life at that point, which was really, really cool. So I see like how these things were starting to line up, but I was still kind of skeptical. I was still kind of skeptical because like, was it actually TechnoTutor that was supporting me to, make these changes, become that type of person, become that leader, or was it already the innate attributes that I had, that work ethic, that hustle, that grind, and all of that jazz? So to test it, I had gotten one of my friends accepted into the program as well, right? Showed him exactly what I was doing outside of class to be able to support myself and become a top performer. Just duplicate everything that I was doing into him. And after about 2 weeks, he also became one of the top performers alongside me. And so I was like, okay, maybe there's something here, possibly. But
and
again,
he was using TechnoTutor as well.
He was using TechnoTutor as well. Right? So I was still skeptical though. Like, was it what we were doing with TechnoTutor, or was it because he's part of my circle of five? You are a reflection of the people you hang around. So he also had work ethic. He also had discipline, hustle, grind, like that type of mentality. So I was like, maybe it's just that, right? So again, third time is the charm. I found this other person in the program with us. He was going about three months without being able to sell anything. So he was kind of struggling. So I was like, all right, this will be my case study. Let's see if it actually works with him and for him. So start using TechnoTutor with him specifically. Again, doing everything I was doing with my other friend, duplicating myself into him. And again, same thing, like clockwork. After about 2 weeks, he also became one of the top performers in our program and started making the most money that he'd ever seen. So at that point, I was like, okay, there definitely is something here. There's something here that this thing is working. So I ended up graduating from that program about 6 months early. It's usually a year plus long thing, but just due to my results, I was able to leave and step away earlier. And at that point, I didn't see myself really doing anything else except being able to share this tool with as many people as possible. So I had actually written a letter to the co-founders of TechnoTutor. I went to go visit them in their home down in Texas, explain my story, share everything that I had just gone through, then pitch them on why and how I could be able to bring this tool, this technology into the Northeast, New York, New Jersey, and share with as many people as possible, right? So they can also see the similar results that me and the people around me have been seeing.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. Because it's like that's your testament.
Right.
And just to kind of like summarize it, that's okay. So before TechnoTutor, right? Kind of in this up and down spiral, trying to build out like a business in music, right? And I think you said a little bit like depressed, right? Just like nihilism, existentialism,
all the
isms, right? And then so that was kind of how things were going. Get TechnoTutor, you start developing like this business mindset, but more so than just the mindset, also the skill set, and using TechnoTutor for that. And being able to do that at an extremely rapid pace, where I mean, you're finishing programs 6 months early and becoming one of the top reps in very, very well-known company. But it's cool, not only for yourself, but you're like, hey, let's put this to the test, and being able to replicate those same results, right? Which is awesome, and not surprising, right? Because if someone just uses TechnoTutor, and it doesn't have to be for that long, right? 30 minutes to an hour daily, it's like they will see results like that. People's timelines are different, but I mean, you proved, hey, like, I want to put this to the test. Let me replicate my results, the exact same things that I was doing, people in my circle and people who had been struggling already, right?
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
really cool because it just shows like what's possible, you know. Because sales, I mean, it can be a brutal game, you know. It's, you know, you got to go out there and kind of hunt every day, and it takes a very specific mindset. It takes a very specific skill set, and oftentimes there's a pretty long learning curve. You know, anywhere upwards of a year, 2 years to really start seeing results. And so, you know, you were able to do that very quickly and replicate that, which is cool.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was just due to the tools, the support, the community, and everything that comes with TechnoTutor. I'm doing right now the stuff that I had wished or imagined myself doing during that period where I was down, depressed, sick and tired. Like it's actually now come to manifestation, for lack of a better term.
For sure. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so all that being considered, is there anything else you'd like to share on just in terms of like benefits or, you know, results that you've seen specifically with using TechnoTutor?
Yeah, I'd say a couple things. Is definitely the ability to be a lot more self-aware, right? I always thought that I was more of a self-aware person, kid, growing up, because I was questioning things that a lot of people around me weren't questioning. At least I thought I was in my head. But through using the tool, I've been able to really express myself in a form that I could not have imagined I'd be able to do like 2, 3, 4 years ago. Like I'm now at the point where I can speak in front of rooms, hold meetings of what 10, 15, up to 50 plus people at a time. Right. So just the level of self-confidence that I've developed, the level of self-esteem, knowing this through being able to like daily practice and program myself through TechnoTutor. That's one of the first things that I really noticed. Another thing is like again the support from the community, like being able to. They say you are the compound or the average of the 5 people that you hang around most, the 5 people you talk to most, the 5 people you listen to most, and so having all these high level individuals, high level entrepreneurs, just a phone call away, right? We have weekly meetings set up with them to be able to talk to them, work through the problems and challenges that I'm facing currently at this stage in my life has been indispensable, right? And that's something that you get forever. So as the network continues to grow, as the community continues to grow, more people come to the mix. Like those are your lifelong, like your Rolodex. So to have that on speed dial, that's been a game changer because I can be going through a conversation, be going through a point, right? I was dealing with the point of rejection for a little bit. Like why was I rejecting myself? Like I would reject myself before I allowed other people to reject me. And again, in sales, that's it's not gonna get you too far. If you're rejecting yourself before the customer rejects you, you're gonna have a tough time. So I had to really sit down with myself and look at that point. So I was able to reach out to a handful of people, talk through that point in particular, and start using my TechnoTutor, using the tools to understand where that came from. Where that came from. Again, looking at your past and the decisions that you made in your past to understand where you are right now and basically neutralize that emotion and that mentality that I had towards myself because it all starts within. All starts within yourself. The world that you are outside is just a reflection of the world that you are inside.
For sure, 100%. And I guess could you expand a little more on that community piece? Because I know just this past June we were out in San Diego, self-perfected through the first ever like global conference, and so we had that, which was amazing. You know, 150, 160 people from all across the world, and just to clarify, self-perfected is just a community that we have of people who are serious about personal development, serious about leveling up and growth overall in life, and who not just want to talk about growth or talk about personal development or talk about leveling up like a lot of people do, but actually like live it, right? And actually live that change and actually, you know, face the things that might be a bit uncomfortable facing, facing the past, really letting go of that, really working and processing all that to be able to advance even more. And I guess with that event in particular, it was called Enter the 1%. Enter the 1% of business, of relationships, finances, network, everything, right? And so could you briefly just talk about how that experience was for you? Because, self-perfected, the community, we have a Facebook group, 2,000, 3,000 people in there. And this being the first like official major event that we've done that has been in person. Could you speak to that just a bit?
Yeah, so that event was incredible. I've been to a lot of events in my life, and I've been to a lot more since that. And that's been unlike anything that I've ever been to before, because everybody there like was there for the same purpose, to actually like fundamentally become that best possible version of themselves and then give themselves to the world when they come back. Right. Nobody there was trying to sell you anything except on how to become a better version of yourself. So it was really, really cool to be in such a like dense area where I think we had 150 plus people there, and everybody there was there to support each other. Like it was the best version of a university, right? Because you were on campus, you're on the resort, you got your friends right across from you, you're sleeping, you're living with some of your friends in the resort. There's basketball that we're playing every morning. Then we go to get lunch, right? All in community, all talking together. And then the seminars, there will be seminars during the day. And so during the seminars, it's like, again, going to class in community, you get the download, you get the inspiration from the professor, hear their story and see, okay, what can I actually do in my life? What can I take back from this event and go implement in my day-to-day life? So that was incredible. But again, just for that, mainly for that networking piece, right? Talking to people that are halfway to $1 billion at this point. So it's just really, really cool to have those types of people in your community. But for me, really the icing on the cake was being able to find my partner at that event, right? I've been in a few relationships in my time, but having a partner that was there for the same exact reason as you to like really become the best possible version of herself as well, develop the best possible family, and also share TechnoTutor and the purpose, the principle, self-perfected, all we're doing with as many people as possible. That was the icing on the cake, and I didn't even go expect to get that out of that. Just a culmination of events and being able to be pushed and supported in the best way to push past some of my fears of, am I ready for a partner? Is this actually the best move? Is the right person for me? Walking through all that back chat and all that BS in the back of my mind that's trying to hold me down. That was the cherry on top of
Yeah.
She's an amazing person. And so I've got everything now that I could ever need. And now we're just continue to level up and things like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's amazing what happens when like-minded people who are serious about growth, who want to improve, who want to develop, like get together in a room. 150, 160 people, but then even like congrats again. It's amazing, and it's been amazing to watch your growth within that. And also just like seeing all the TechnoTutor kids, right? Seeing, literally, these 4, 5, 6-year-olds running around who are able to read and do math and have amazing abilities, like reading at middle school, high school levels, right? They're talking about one of the kids was sitting by the campfire, 6 years old, doing like trigonometry. I'm like, this is crazy.
I think my favorite point within like seeing those kids, meeting more of those kids, was some of those kids were speaking from stage. A 4-year-old sharing her story of what TechnoTutor has done for her, being able to have her become more self-aware, right? And she was talking about how she was going shopping and she was anxious picking between different clothing, but she was able to actually express that to a crowd of 150 people on stage as a 4-year-old, right? So at 4 years old, what were you doing? What was you doing? Right?
And you look at the long-term impact that will have. right?
Yeah.
The long-term effect that has. And that's really the bigger term vision, the longer term vision that we're working towards is like a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old reading at a middle school, high school level. You know, it goes beyond just being able to read. It's like that's their level of processing information. They're learning
Right.
about business now. Like these kids, Max and Seneca, they're learning about like chemistry, literally like 4 and 6 years old, right? And
Teaching
so
themselves.
by themselves, right? They use TechnoTutor like 30 minutes max in the morning, and then the
Yeah.
rest of the day they're just playing. But their playing is very constructive, right? And they're just teaching themselves stuff like that. So it's really cool to see. And but my point is that's normal.
Normal. That's
That is
normal.
normal
Absolutely.
for a 4-year-old. That is normal for a 5-year-old. And what we've accepted as education is an abomination, for lack of a better word. And so that's really the longer term vision of everything that we're doing. And it's really been awesome to see you really level up, really go hard, really expand within that, and just hear your story with things. Because I'm sure when you first got TT, you're like, all right, let me try this thing out, let me put this to the test, right? Hear some things like, but to now have that testimonial for yourself,
Right.
and then now take that on of like, okay, which is a super common thing, where it's like, all right, let me get TT, let me get some, grow my business, make some more money, improve my relationships, all that, have more happiness, really sort and process things out within myself. And then it's just like, whoa, like this thing is actually pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like let me actually, share this, right? And so that's really cool to see. And so, okay, say someone's considering getting TechnoTutor, why would you recommend it?
Well, it depends again what they want out of life for themselves. But if they want to make more money, if they want to have better relationships, if they want to have a real community around them that will support them for life, that they can grow into, their family can grow into, and especially their kids can grow into, that's why I recommend it. Because TechnoTutor is the future. It's the future of education. It's the future of community. It's the future of the world, right? So, man, imagine you had an opportunity to be part of Apple when it was first being developed or it was first coming out. There's the Apple of education. Welcome to TechnoTutor.
Awesome. Appreciate you being here, Jude. Is there anything else you'd like to add to kind of top things off?
At the moment, check us out. Check me out. You can find me on all socials at Jude Poku, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and just drop a message, drop a line if you want to hear more, you want to talk deeper on any of these points that me and Pedro just chatted about today. And just stay in touch. Stay in touch and tap in. That's about it.
Definitely. Jude's been blowing up on social media. What you're doing like a live a day, right? And posting a ton of super valuable content. So he's got that machine going. It's really cool to see. And yeah, Jude, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you sharing a little bit about your story. We're going to have to reconnect here soon and really do more like a podcast type thing, go ham and like talk about business, purpose, vision, all that. So, but hey, appreciate you being here, and we'll talk soon.
Likewise, take care.